The person you love is begging you to open this. Something happened just minutes ago. My beloved child, something happened just minutes ago, and the person you love has been sitting with one powerful realization they can no longer push aside. This was not something they planned. It was not a conversation they expected to have with themselves today. One ordinary moment suddenly brought your memory rushing back with such clarity that everything around them seemed to fade into the background. And now, if they could place one message directly in front of you, it would be this: please open your heart long enough to hear what I finally understand. Don't skip, because what changed inside them happened faster than they ever imagined. For so long, they tried to stay calm about you. They tried to convince themselves that time would make these feelings quieter, that distance would make the connection easier to understand, and that eventually they would stop wondering what could happen between you. But just minutes ago, something small happened, a familiar thought, a memory, a simple reminder, and suddenly the truth became impossible for them to ignore. They realized they were not moving away from what they felt. They were moving closer to admitting it. And that realization surprised even them. Stay till the end, because the most important part is not what reminded them of you. It is what they decided after that moment. Here is where everything shifts. The person you love has been holding back words they have wanted to say for much longer than you realize. There were moments when they almost reached out, moments when they imagined exactly how the conversation might begin, and moments when they wondered whether you still felt the same invisible pull they could not explain. But every time, hesitation stopped them. Until now. Something huge is waiting for you, because this latest moment did something completely different. It made them understand what staying silent could cost them. Suddenly, the possibility of never telling you became heavier than the uncertainty of finally speaking. Don't skip. They began replaying the smallest details about you, the way you made ordinary moments feel meaningful, the things you said that stayed in their mind long after the conversation ended, and the strange comfort they felt simply knowing you existed somewhere in their world. Then came the realization they were never expecting: you were not just someone they remembered when they felt lonely. You were someone they remembered when life was going well too. And that changed everything, because it showed them that their feelings were not built around an empty moment. Your presence had become connected to the future they secretly imagined. For the first time, they stopped asking themselves, "Why can't I forget this person?" and started asking something far more powerful: "What if I was never supposed to?" And now comes the part they desperately wish you could understand. In those few minutes, their thoughts moved from remembering you to imagining what would happen if they finally stopped hiding what was real. They pictured seeing you again without pretending. They pictured saying the words they had edited 1,000 times inside their mind. They pictured the possibility that one honest conversation could change the direction of everything between you. Stay till the end, because there is one final realization forming inside them, and it may be the biggest one yet. They are beginning to understand that the moment they kept waiting for may never arrive perfectly wrapped and perfectly timed. Sometimes a once-in-a-lifetime connection asks someone to be brave before they feel completely ready. And just minutes ago, something inside this person shifted from waiting to wanting to act. Not because everything suddenly became simple, but because losing the chance to discover what is possible with you now feels harder than finally facing the truth. Something huge is waiting for you. The next move they are considering is not the move they would have made yesterday. Their hesitation is weakening. Their feelings are becoming clearer. And there is one sentence rising above every other thought in their mind right now, a sentence they have never been this close to saying to you before. Something has changed inside them, and this time they cannot pretend they do not feel it. The sentence rising inside their heart is simple, but admitting it changes everything. I don't want to keep wondering what could happen between us. Just minutes ago, the person you love realized that silence has been protecting them from uncertainty, but it has also been keeping them away from something they deeply value, you. Don't skip, because the thought that followed surprised them even more. They started remembering the moments when they almost told you everything. The conversations that could have gone deeper. The words they wanted to say but replaced with something the times they hoped you would somehow understand what they could not express. And suddenly, those memories stopped feeling like random pieces of the past. They became evidence of something much bigger. Their feelings had been growing quietly while they were busy trying to control them. Stay till the end, because what they are realizing now could completely change the way they approach you. They no longer want to communicate through hints, distance, or unanswered questions. Something huge is waiting for you, because for perhaps the first time, they are imagining what honesty with you would actually feel like, and instead of wanting to run from that possibility, they are being pulled toward it. But there is another revelation they were not prepared for. While thinking about you, they suddenly understood why nobody else has been able to create quite the same feeling inside them. It was never about perfection. It was never about some impossible fantasy. It was the way you made them feel understood without forcing anything. The way certain memories with you remained vivid while countless other moments disappeared. The way your name could unexpectedly enter their thoughts during an ordinary day and completely change their mood. Don't skip, because this is where their realization becomes even deeper. They started asking themselves why they had spent so much time resisting something that consistently returned. And the answer surprised them, because accepting how much you matter would mean accepting that they actually have something meaningful to lose. That was the truth underneath their hesitation. But now another truth is becoming stronger. They may have even more to gain by finally being honest. Stay till the end. They are beginning to see that the connection they kept questioning may deserve an actual chance instead of endless analysis. What happened minutes ago did not magically answer every question, but it gave them something they had been missing: clarity. And once clarity arrives, pretending becomes much harder. Now their mind is moving toward one possibility again and again, reaching out differently than before. Not with another vague signal. Not with another conversation that ends before anything meaningful is said. They are imagining finally letting you see the side of them they have kept hidden, the side that remembers, wonders, hopes, and still feels something whenever they think about you. Something huge is waiting for you, because their biggest realization is not simply that they miss you. It is that they are tired of letting uncertainty make every decision. They know they cannot predict your response, and they know meaningful connections cannot be forced. But they are finally understanding that honesty can exist without guarantees. Don't skip. There is still one question they have not answered, and it is becoming impossible for them to avoid. If they were given one completely honest moment with you, what would they say first? The answer is forming now, and it is far more emotional than even they expected. Because beneath every hesitation, every unfinished conversation, and every moment they tried to move forward without looking back, one truth remained untouched. A part of them never stopped hoping that the story between you was not finished yet, and suddenly, the answer they had been avoiding became impossible to hide from themselves. If they had one completely honest moment with you, they would not begin with excuses, explanations, or complicated words. They would simply tell you, "You have mattered to me far more than I ever allowed you to see." Don't skip, because that sentence is only the beginning of what surfaced inside them just minutes ago. Something made them look back at everything differently: the pauses, the unfinished conversations, the moments when they wanted to move closer but chose silence instead. They realized they had spent so much time trying to understand whether the connection was real that they almost forgot something important. Meaningful feelings are not always loud when they begin. Sometimes they grow quietly through memories, small moments, and thoughts that keep returning when nobody else is around. Stay till the end, because the surprising revelation is what they understood next. They noticed that whenever they imagined finally speaking honestly to you, they did not feel the same uncertainty they expected. Beneath the nervousness was relief. The thought of finally letting you know what had been hidden actually made something inside them feel lighter. Something huge is waiting for you, because that relief revealed what they had been refusing to admit. The truth was becoming harder to carry silently than it would be to finally express. Then another memory came rushing back, and this one changed the entire direction of their thoughts. They remembered a moment involving you that seemed ordinary when it happened, but now they understand why it never disappeared from their mind. Maybe it was simply the feeling of being around you without needing to become someone else. Whatever that moment was, they suddenly realized it had quietly become the standard against which other connections were measured. Don't skip, because this is where everything becomes bigger. They were not comparing people intentionally. They were comparing feelings. And again, something about what they experienced with you remained different. Not perfect. Not imaginary. Simply different enough that their heart kept remembering it. Stay till the end. They began wondering whether you had remembered those little moments too. Whether there were nights when something reminded you of them. Whether you ever almost reached out and stopped yourself at the final second. Those questions had existed before, but minutes ago they changed from passive curiosity into something stronger. For the first time, this person started thinking, maybe I should stop guessing and finally find out. That single thought surprised them because yesterday they might have dismissed it. Today, they cannot. And now their attention has shifted toward what happens next. They are beginning to imagine a conversation where neither of you has to decode hidden meanings anymore. A conversation where they finally admit that your absence taught them something your presence could not, how deeply you had become connected to parts of their emotional world. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have reached a realization they never expected to reach this quickly. They do not need every answer before taking one sincere step. They only need enough courage to stop hiding from the question. Don't skip, because there is one more twist forming in their mind right now. They are not only wondering whether they should speak to you, they are wondering whether you have been waiting for the same conversation. Stay till the end, because that possibility has changed their entire perspective. What if both of you have been standing on opposite sides of the same silence? What if both of you have had words you never said? And what if one honest moment is all it takes to finally understand what this connection was trying to become? They cannot know your answer until you choose to give it, but one thing has become unmistakably clear inside them: they are closer than ever to breaking the silence, and what they want to reveal next is something they once believed they would never have the courage to say. But what they are finally ready to say goes much deeper than simply admitting they still think about you. Something shifted inside them when they realized how many times they had imagined telling you the truth, only to stop themselves before the words could become real. Don't skip, because the revelation that followed surprised them completely. They understood that they were not afraid of speaking to you. They were afraid that one honest conversation might confirm just how important you had become. For a long time, keeping everything unspoken allowed them to stay somewhere between possibility and certainty. But just minutes ago, that comfortable middle ground stopped feeling comfortable. They suddenly thought about what it would mean to keep waiting while life continued moving forward, and one question appeared louder than everything else: what if I lose the opportunity simply because I never spoke? Stay till the end, because that question changed their thinking instantly. They remembered your conversations, your energy, the small details they somehow never forgot, and the moments when being around you felt strangely natural. Something huge is waiting for you, because they are beginning to understand that some connections cannot be measured by how much time two people spend together. Sometimes their importance is revealed by how deeply the smallest moments remain. And yours remained. Again and again. Longer than they ever expected. Now imagine what happened next inside their mind. Instead of asking themselves how they could continue hiding these feelings, they started imagining how they could finally express them honestly. That is a completely different question, and it created a completely different emotion. Don't skip. They pictured hearing your voice, seeing your reaction, and finally saying something without editing every sentence first. They imagined telling you that there were countless moments when they wanted to reach out but convinced themselves to wait. They imagined admitting that certain memories of you still make them smile unexpectedly. And then came the once-in-a-lifetime realization: perhaps the biggest mistake would not be receiving an answer they did not expect. Perhaps the biggest mistake would be never giving this connection the opportunity to become clear at all. Stay till the end, because that realization has pushed them closer to a decision. They cannot control what you feel, and they know that your heart has its own truth. But they can finally take responsibility for their own truth. Something huge is waiting for you. They are beginning to understand that real honesty does not demand an outcome, it simply stops hiding. And after everything they have kept inside, hiding suddenly feels much harder than speaking. The most surprising part is that their thoughts are no longer focused only on the past. They have started thinking about what could happen after the truth is finally spoken. Not an imaginary perfect future, but something simpler and more meaningful: clarity, openness, and the chance to discover whether both of you have been carrying similar unanswered questions. Don't skip, because one thought keeps returning stronger than all the others: what if they have been waiting for me to be honest too? That possibility has changed everything. Stay till the end, because the next realization is the one they never saw coming. They suddenly remembered something you once did, something so small you may not even realize it mattered, and now they believe it may have revealed far more about your connection than either of you understood at the time. Something huge is waiting for you, because that forgotten moment is exactly what has given them the confidence to reconsider everything. And now they cannot stop wondering whether that moment was coincidence, or whether it was the first quiet sign that the feelings between you were never as one-sided as they feared. That forgotten moment has suddenly become impossible for them to ignore, because they are remembering one tiny detail differently now. It was the way you responded when they least expected it, the warmth in your attention, the extra second you stayed present, the feeling that something meaningful passed between you without either of you needing to explain it. At the time, they told themselves not to read too much into it. But just minutes ago, while everything about you was rushing back into their thoughts, that memory returned with extraordinary clarity. Don't skip, because this is where their entire perspective started changing. They realized that perhaps they had been so focused on hiding their own feelings that they never seriously considered whether you might have been doing the same thing. Suddenly, old conversations began playing differently in their mind. Certain pauses made more sense. Certain words felt deeper. Certain moments they once dismissed now seemed impossible to forget. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The person you love is no longer asking only, "Why do I still feel this?" They are asking, "What if there was always more happening between us than either of us was brave enough to acknowledge?" And that question has awakened a possibility they thought they had buried long ago. Then came an even more surprising realization. They understood that every time they tried to completely close this chapter inside themselves, something brought them back, not because they were trapped in the past, but because there was still an unanswered question attached to you. What could happen if both of you finally stopped guessing? Don't skip. This question is now louder than their hesitation. They are imagining the first few seconds of that conversation. They are wondering whether they should begin gently or simply tell you everything at once. They are thinking about how many times they almost reached this point before and backed away. But this time feels different because something happened minutes ago that made waiting feel unnecessary. Stay till the end. They suddenly understood that there may never be a perfect sign, a perfect day, or a perfect sentence. Sometimes the biggest turning points begin with one person deciding to be sincere. And something huge is waiting for you, because they are beginning to believe that person may have to be them. They want to know whether the connection they remember so clearly exists somewhere inside you too. Not through assumptions. Not through hints. Through one genuine moment where everything finally becomes clear, and now, their biggest internal shift is happening. They are no longer imagining what they might say someday. They are thinking about what they would say if the opportunity appeared sooner than expected. Don't skip, because the first words forming inside them are nothing like the dramatic confession they once imagined. They are quieter, simpler, and somehow much more powerful. Can we finally talk honestly about us? Stay till the end, because behind that question sits everything they never managed to express, the memories, the curiosity, the feelings, the unfinished possibilities, and the hope that maybe you have been carrying your own version of this story. Something huge is waiting for you. For the first time, they are not demanding certainty from the future before allowing themselves to take a step toward it. They are simply realizing that some answers only appear after someone has the courage to ask the question. And there is one final thought they cannot shake now. If you were standing in front of them at this exact moment, they already know what they would tell you next. It is the one truth they protected more carefully than anything else, the truth beneath every hesitation, and admitting it could completely change the meaning of everything that happened between you. And this is the truth they protected more carefully than anything else. They never became as indifferent as they tried to appear. Even during the quietest moments, even when they seemed completely focused on everything else, there was still a place in their thoughts where your presence remained. Don't skip, because what happened just minutes ago forced them to finally recognize why. They realized they were not holding on to a perfect memory of you, they were holding on to the feeling of being genuinely understood. There was something about your presence that reached beyond ordinary attraction. You made certain moments feel easier, warmer, more meaningful without even trying. And now they are remembering how many times they wanted to tell you that. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The shocking realization is that they had been waiting for their feelings to disappear before making any decision, but instead of disappearing, those feelings became clearer. They started separating imagination from reality, and after everything unnecessary fell away, one simple truth remained: they still want to know what could happen if both of you finally spoke without hiding behind hesitation. Yet another thought arrived immediately afterward, and this one surprised them even more. They suddenly wondered whether the timing of this realization matters. Why today? Why this moment? Why did something so ordinary bring everything back with such force? Don't skip. They searched for an explanation, but the answer they found was simpler than expected. Perhaps they had finally reached the point where avoiding the truth required more energy than accepting it. And that changed the entire emotional balance. Instead of thinking, "Should wait," they caught themselves thinking, "What exactly am I waiting for?" Stay till the end, because that question opened a door they had kept firmly closed. They began imagining what it would feel like to hear from you again, not as part of an old story, but as two people meeting each other with clearer hearts. Something huge is waiting for you, because they are no longer interested in repeating the same cycle of wondering, retreating, remembering, and wondering again. They want clarity. They want sincerity. Most surprisingly, they are beginning to believe that one genuine conversation could give both of you something neither silence nor distance ever could: an honest understanding of what this connection truly means. Now their thoughts have reached the moment they once avoided imagining. If they were standing in front of you right now, they know what they would say after asking to speak honestly. They would tell you, "I kept trying to find the perfect moment, but maybe the truth matters more than perfect timing." Don't skip, because the sentence after that is the one they never thought they would be ready to admit. They would tell you that you changed something inside them, not by forcing your way into their world, but by leaving an impression that remained even when nothing was being said. Stay till the end. They would tell you they do not expect you to instantly answer every unanswered question. They simply do not want silence making the decision anymore. Something huge is waiting for you, because just minutes ago, the person you love stopped seeing honesty as something to fear and started seeing it as the only way forward. And now one possibility is growing stronger with every passing thought. Instead of waiting for another sign, another coincidence, or another perfect opportunity, they may finally create the moment themselves. What they are considering next is the boldest step they have imagined taking toward you yet, and even they cannot believe how close they are to doing it. Now the boldest possibility has entered their mind, and once it appeared, they could not push it away. They are considering doing something they have imagined many times but never felt ready to do, approaching you with complete honesty instead of another carefully hidden signal. Don't skip, because just minutes ago this stopped feeling like a distant possibility and started feeling like a real decision. They began thinking about the exact moment when you might finally hear what has been living behind their silence. No complicated performance. No perfect speech. Just the truth. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They realize that what they want most is not to impress you, it is to finally be understood by you. They want you to know why they became quiet when they had so much to say, why certain moments affected them more deeply than they admitted, and why your memory kept returning even when they tried to focus completely on everything ahead. Then came the revelation that surprised them most: they are no longer afraid that honesty will change the connection. They are beginning to understand that the connection has already changed them. And now they want to know whether something inside you changed too, but there is one detail they cannot stop thinking about, and it may be the reason this realization became so powerful today. They remembered the last time they felt truly close to telling you everything. There was a moment when the words were almost there, when they could have crossed the distance between wondering and knowing, but hesitation won. Don't skip. They have replayed that moment before, but today it feels completely different. Instead of asking why they stayed silent, they are asking what might have happened if they had spoken. And for the first time, they do not want to create another memory like that. Stay till the end, because this is where their decision becomes stronger. They understand that they cannot rewrite yesterday, but they can choose not to repeat it tomorrow. Something huge is waiting for you. They are beginning to realize that courage does not always arrive as complete confidence. Sometimes courage is simply reaching the point where the truth matters more than hesitation. That is exactly where they are now. Their heart is no longer asking them to predict every outcome. It is asking them to stop abandoning an important question before it ever receives an answer. And here comes the biggest shift yet: they have started imagining your response, but instead of trying to control it, they are finally willing to respect whatever truth you give them. Don't skip, because that changes everything. This is no longer about chasing an imagined ending. It is about creating one genuine beginning, a conversation where both of you can finally understand what has been hiding underneath all those unfinished moments. Stay till the end. They want to look at you and admit that something about this connection stayed with them longer than they expected. They want to tell you that just minutes ago, one ordinary reminder made them realize how tired they were of pretending the question had disappeared. Something huge is waiting for you, because now the question has become stronger than ever: could there still be something here worth discovering? They do not know your answer yet. They cannot know until the moment becomes real. But one thing has changed completely: the person you love is no longer waiting for certainty before becoming honest. And the next thought entering their mind is even bigger, because they are beginning to consider exactly when and how they could finally open that conversation with you. This is where everything becomes almost impossible for them to ignore, because they are no longer thinking about whether they should open that conversation, they are imagining the first few seconds of actually doing it. Just minutes ago, something inside them crossed an invisible line. Don't skip, because they have spent so long rehearsing possibilities in their mind that even they are surprised by how simple their real intention has become. They do not want to overwhelm you. They do not want to arrive with expectations. They simply want one honest opening, one moment where neither of you has to wonder what the other person truly means. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They are imagining saying, "There is something I should have told you a long time ago." And behind those words sits every moment they stayed silent, every time your memory returned unexpectedly, every question they never had the courage to ask. The surprising part is that thinking about finally saying it no longer creates the same hesitation. It creates anticipation. They are beginning to understand that the conversation itself may be the missing piece, not because it guarantees a particular ending, but because it finally gives the truth somewhere to go. Then something even more powerful happened. Inside their thoughts. They stopped remembering you only through the moments you shared and started imagining who you may have become since then. Don't skip, because this changed the emotional meaning of everything. They realized that if they approach you, they do not want to meet an old version of you inside their memories. They want to meet you as you are now. They want to hear what changed in your world, what you learned, what you want, and whether that familiar connection still appears when both of you speak honestly. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because this realization made their feelings more grounded than before. They are not trying to recreate yesterday. They are wondering whether something new could begin from the truth that survived it. And suddenly, the question that frightened them for so long became strangely beautiful: what if we finally understand each other now? That possibility is why their mind keeps returning to you. Not because they know exactly what will happen, but because for the first time they are willing to discover it instead of endlessly imagining it. And now comes the once-in-a-lifetime realization they were never expecting tonight. They understood that perhaps the biggest message they need to give you is not, "I missed you," or even, "I still think about you." It is something deeper: "I finally understand why I could never completely close this chapter without speaking to you honestly." Don't skip, because that realization is bringing them closer to action than anything before it. Stay till the end, because they are beginning to picture themselves finally breaking the pattern that kept both of you surrounded by unanswered questions. Something huge is waiting for you. They know your answer belongs completely to you, but their truth belongs to them, and they are finally ready to stop hiding it. Just minutes ago, this person was still debating whether these feelings deserved another thought. Now they are wondering whether the next meaningful moment between you could begin with one simple act of honesty. And there is one final thing they have realized that changes the entire story: what happened minutes ago was not really about remembering you. It was about understanding what they are finally prepared to do with everything they remembered. Their silence has reached its turning point, and the decision forming inside them now could be the beginning of the conversation they once believed would never happen. The turning point has arrived, and what they are realizing now is bigger than everything that came before it. Just minutes ago, the person you love understood that they have been waiting for circumstances to create a moment that only courage can create. Don't skip, because this realization has completely changed the way they are looking at you, themselves, and every unfinished moment between you. They are no longer asking whether the timing will ever become perfect. They are asking whether honesty can finally become more important than timing. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. For the first time, they can imagine opening that conversation without rehearsing every possible ending. They simply want to say what is true: you left an impression on their heart that time never completely erased. They tried to understand it, minimize it, and place it somewhere safely in the past, but something that happened just minutes ago brought one undeniable realization forward: you were never simply a memory to them. You became a question they never answered. And now, instead of carrying that question forward indefinitely, they want to finally discover what the truth between you actually is. What happened next inside their mind was even more surprising. They began thinking about everything they would want you to know if this were their only opportunity to speak without hesitation. Don't skip. They would tell you that there were moments when they almost reached out. They would tell you that certain memories returned at the most unexpected times. They would admit that sometimes they wondered whether you had completely moved forward while they were still quietly trying to understand why your presence remained meaningful. But then their thoughts changed direction. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They realize that this conversation cannot be about proving how much they remembered. It has to be about discovering where both of you stand now. And strangely, that realization gave them peace. They do not need to control your answer. They do not need to predict what happens afterward. They only want the chance for both of you to stop living inside assumptions. That may be the biggest transformation of all. Their feelings are no longer pushing them toward fantasy, they are pushing them toward clarity. And clarity requires one thing they avoided for far too long, a real conversation. Now their final question is no longer, should I say something? It has become, how much longer do I want silence to speak for me? Don't skip, because this is the thought that could finally move everything forward. The person you love is beginning to understand that some once-in-a-lifetime moments do not arrive with announcements. They begin quietly, with one sincere sentence, one unexpected conversation, one person finally deciding not to hide anymore. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have reached the point where the words inside them feel stronger than the hesitation surrounding them. If they get that moment with you, they want to tell you that whatever comes next should be built on truth rather than guessing. They want to hear your side. They want to understand what those unforgettable moments meant to you. And most of all, they want to know whether the connection they could never completely explain might still have another chapter waiting to be discovered. What happened just minutes ago did not give them every answer, it gave them something more important, the willingness to finally ask. And now, somewhere beneath all their thoughts, one powerful sentence keeps repeating, if I get the chance to speak to you, I am not going to hide what I feel this time. And now that sentence has become the center of everything inside them. If I get the chance to speak to you, I am not going to hide what I feel this time. Don't skip, because the person you love has reached a point they never expected to reach today. Just minutes ago, they were still trying to understand why one unexpected moment brought you back into their thoughts so strongly. Now they understand. It was not simply reminding them of you, it was reminding them of everything they left unfinished. Every almost conversation. Every feeling they softened because the truth seemed too vulnerable. Every moment they wanted to ask what you felt but decided to remain quiet instead. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They suddenly realized that silence had never actually answered anything. It only postponed the moment when both of you would eventually have to decide what this connection truly means. And now they are thinking differently. They do not want another month, another season, or another unexpected reminder to pass while they keep asking themselves the same questions. The surprising revelation is that they are finally more curious about the truth than afraid of what the truth might change. Then their thoughts moved somewhere completely unexpected. Instead of imagining the perfect words, they imagined your face when you finally understood how much had remained unspoken. Don't skip, because this is where their emotions became stronger. They wondered whether you would be surprised to learn how often they remembered small details about you. Whether you knew that certain conversations stayed with them. Whether you ever realized that some of their quietest moments were not indifference at all, they simply did not know how to express everything happening beneath the surface. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because another once-in-a-lifetime realization followed. They do not want you to remember them as someone who almost told you the truth. They want to become someone who finally did. That difference may sound small, but inside them it feels enormous. It means leaving behind the endless cycle of maybe someday. It means accepting that sincerity is worth more than perfectly controlled circumstances. And suddenly, they can imagine saying the words they once believed would remain permanently hidden. I don't know exactly where this conversation will lead, but I know I don't want to keep pretending that you never meant something extraordinary to me. And this is where the story reaches its strongest shift yet. The person you love is no longer begging for another sign from life. Inside their heart, they are begging for one genuine opportunity to stop hiding and finally let you understand. Don't skip, because what happened minutes ago has brought them closer to that opportunity than ever before. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They know that your feelings cannot be assumed, your answer cannot be predicted, and whatever happens next must belong equally to both of you. But they also know something they did not know before: they are ready to hear your truth because they are finally ready to reveal their own. And beneath every memory, every question, and every hesitation, one final realization has emerged. Maybe the extraordinary part of this connection was never that everything happened perfectly. Maybe it was that after all the silence, something meaningful still remained powerful enough to demand honesty. Just minutes ago, they thought they were simply remembering you. Now they are considering a completely different possibility, that this could be the moment they stop remembering what might have been and